He paid me $600. And I was like, okay, this took me like 2 or 3 hours to whip this up. And I made $600. I mean, how many hours would I have had to have worked to make that $600 in a different place?
Okay, the first 2 clients, how the heck did that happen?
Okay, so the first one is actually a friend of mine that I've known since like 7th grade. His name's Ryan. He owns a company called Pristine Landscaping. And he basically just gave me a shot. He was like, yeah, we don't have any bookkeeping. It's kind of crazy, but if you want to help us do it, like, yeah, I'm down to help you out. And that's the thing is people are like, oh, I got to find someone. It's like, you already have a huge lead list. It's in your contacts, in your phone and your socials. Like that's where you start. So started with him, and he was a chill enough client that I could figure the kinks. Like I could get through the kinks of continuing to learn the software. And there's so much stuff in any occupation, not just accounting, where it's like, you don't know the problems you'll run into until you start and run into. And I think that's what turns a ton of people off to entrepreneurship is the uncertainty.
Especially accountants. Like,
part of it. Yeah.
So I just want to frame this up because I talked to scores of accountants a week, and they're all like, they're one of 3 buckets. Is see that, just generally speaking, you didn't get into sales. Like most accountants got into accounting because they're not hardwired to be like, I know what I want to do. I'm going to go out and prospect, face rejection, and like fire, ready, aim, rather than like they're so geared to ready, aim, fire. And that idea, that sentence you just said there, that on the job training or actually learning while you're doing it is fantastic. And if you think about it from your buddy's perspective, like you said he didn't have anything. So it's like on one side of the spectrum, he's doing it himself and it's crap. And then the other side of the spectrum is maybe he goes and hires KPMG for $1 million to do it. Well, somewhere in the middle is like, Dylan's probably good at this. He hasn't done it a lot, but let's give him a shot. Like if accountants take that mindset to just go try it, freaking it jumpstarts your business.
Super transparently too. Like I was not charging him a lot.
Yeah.
But being in college, that extra couple $100 a month was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Plus that tuition is probably better than your master's degree.
Yeah. And then the big light bulb went off when, like I said, that spring of 2022, I was doing a tax internship. So I was doing tax returns, S-Corp partnerships, individual all day, every day. And a lot of that was from scratch. So there was no bookkeeping. So I would take their bank statements, download it, put it in Excel, pivot table, whip up their tax return. And I came into a situation where I sold a similar engagement for my own thing, like that June or July, right after I got my master's degree. And he paid me $600 to do his one tax return, from scratch, do the pivot table thing. It took me a few hours. And I was like, okay, this took me like 2 or 3 hours to whip this up. And I made $600. I mean, how many hours would I have had to have worked to make that $600 in a different place? And that was kind of the first moment where it was like, okay, never going back. I already had a feeling this is what I wanted to do in the road I want to go down, but that was where I was like, I am really not going back.
That's cool. Tax internship though. So you've done 2 things that I advocate a lot. So number 1, you just broke some eggs and figured it out, found someone to do it for cheap. I started both Nuance Financial. Like I went to my buddy Nick and we found a couple people who were like, dude, Dylan Fredrickson Masonry. Like, we'll do it for super cheap. Like we way underpriced it. And like, if you like it, then just give us a review. When I started Feedback Wrench, I went in Dylan again and helped a whole bunch of starter guys. I just said, look, pay me what you think it's worth. I'll get you some results. This is what I'm doing and kind of move on from there. But the second thing you said, that internship. So how did you get a tax internship? What was that like? And what'd you learn? Because I bet you were like going through tax returns and you're like, oh man, there's juice in these oranges. Like, I bet did you see, what'd you learn during that? What was it like? How'd you get it? And what'd you learn?
So I worked at a place called The Tax Company, and Jamie Mitchell's the founding partner there. And she's an EA enrolled agent. She's been doing that for like 30 years. And she specializes in IRS tax court type stuff. And she is a brilliant accountant. And I was lucky that my grandmother had actually did radio ads for her when she first started in the 90s.
Cool.
So I kind of had a little in there. Did my stuff there, and she was just brilliant. Learned so much. But I also learned that I don't love doing the tax returns. I do not love doing the accounting fulfillment. I love talking about it. I love getting on a sales call with, a 20-year-old entrepreneur that just had their first 20, 30K month, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, blah, 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 and being able to walk them through it. I love that part. But really, everything goes back to the social proof that you have that you can do what you promise you're going to do. And for me, having strategic partners in place. Like the only reason I felt good about trying to do my own stuff is because I was still in school. I played football at the same school for 6 years, so I had a really good relationship with all the accounting professors. So if I ever came across something that was really, really tough that I didn't know what to do, I just walked into their office and was like, hey, can you help me figure this out? Like, this is a little bit my competency, right?
I legit think that I think college should be that. College should be that. Like, I bet you learned way more bumping into the real life problem, bringing it to them. Like, I always think, and I'm sorry, I'm a little critical of college, but in that,
No,
how many
how many
papers get written that are just pointless? What they should do is go make something for a business and then get that graded, get paid for it, do it for free. If you're going to be in an accounting, go work in an accounting firm, find problems, use your professors to solve those problems. Like, that is so cool that you did that, man. Like, freaking
and they're awesome. I still have a good relationship with them. And I think as our firm continues to grow, because I don't think my accounting firm is the thing that's going to make me $100 millionaire, but I do think that it's the cash flow play to put me in those positions from the cash flow from the accounting business, if that makes sense. So it is like our long-term play over the next 10, 20 years at least. And I do think that some of those university relationships will definitely act as a hiring funnel as well someday.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's definitely, the connections with the professors is the only thing that makes the university worth it. And depending on your degree, some things you need to go to college for. But overall, it was way more about making those relationships and having those strategic partnerships, and that's what allowed me to start raising my rates, right? It's because, okay, now I have this connection with this tax firm that does really, really good work on the tax side. Now, instead of just offering bookkeeping, I can include their tax return in my retainer, and I can, and then that's kind of how it developed. I know we're kind of getting in the weeds, but that's how the retainer price has been able to go up, and we've been able to continue to add value. Okay, I got this firm that can do the tax returns. Okay, now I got another CPA firm that specializes in payroll. Now I can offer payroll. Right. And, now we're totally full suite. We handle everything. So
that's cool.
Couldn't do it without having some strategic partnerships in place for sure.